Welcome to One Stop Co-op Shop. This is Steve. I'm here with the quick play instructions for Paint the Roses by North Star Games. This is not intended to be a how to play in-depth description of how the game works, but just a brief overview to get yourself started. Paint the Roses is a cooperative logic deduction game set in the theme of Alice in Wonderland. Players are tasked to work together to complete the Queen's Garden by placing shrub tokens on the board. Players will be using these shrub tokens as part of their clue to all other players at the table in an effort for them to guess their hidden card. Correct guesses will earn victory points for all players and move the gardener marker along the victory point track. However, the queen is also moving along the victory point track, and if she ever catches up to the player's gardener marker, everybody loses. The game ends in victory when the garden is filled with shrubs and the queen has not caught up to the players. Here are some of the components in Paint the Roses. We have the game board, which consists of the garden in the center of the game board. That's the primary focus of the game. And around the outside, we have the score track in which the queen will be starting at area number 44, while the player score markers can start at 0. And then there's also a white rabbit, which will be at different points throughout the game. In addition to that, we have the greenhouse, which is going to hold shrub tiles, which we'll be drawing from to place onto the garden, and 3 different decks of cards. Easy, medium, and hard, and these are Whim Cards, which has a series of shrub pieces, either colors or shapes, or a combination of both, on the back side of them that the other players at the table are trying to guess. So each player will always have a card in front of them. You can have a maximum of 1 easy card at the table in a player's hand, then any number of medium and hard cards for all the other players. In addition, all the players would choose cubes to mark different clues they'll be giving, and they can be of any different colors. So you give 6 cubes of a color to each player. The game ends when the last piece is placed in the garden. The garden is completely full of shrub tokens, and you finish out all the phases of that turn. If by the end of that phase where the garden is completely filled and the player piece is ahead of the queen piece on the score track, all the players win the game. In order to gain points in Paint the Roses, players will try to be given clues to guess the symbols and shapes on the back of their Whim cards. So this side will not be facing any players other than the player who owns the card. And there's various difficulties in them. The green cards are easy, will only have colors, in this case purple and purple. The medium card could have colors, just like easy cards, but it could also have shapes, for example, diamond, diamond. Or the hard card could have colored colors, shape to shape, or color to shape. In this example, we have red to clovers. In Paint the Roses, there are 4 different colors and 4 different shapes on each shrub tile. There could be pink, red, purple, yellow for the colors, and spade, diamond, clubs, and heart for the shapes. A player's turn consists of 5 phases. So phase 1 will be placing a tile. So the player will look at the greenhouse and be able to pick from any of the 4 shrub tiles here. This example, I'm going to grab this piece right here, this purple heart. I can then place that piece anywhere on the garden. So I'll put the tile right here. So that's phase 1. In phase 2, all players at the table will take a number of their clue markers and place it on the chosen tile. Now, it's important to keep in mind that it's only on the tile chosen this round they can add clue markers on it. The number of clue markers you put on it means that this tile, this shrub tile, and a number in a tile nearby matches what's on the flip side of your Whim card. So in this example, the yellow player is telling everyone at the table that this tile and 2 tiles next to it match what they have in their hand. After all players have placed any number of their clue tokens on the tile selected this round, then we move on to phase 3, which is guess a Whim card. In this phase, all players at the table may freely discuss and try to guess what is in everyone's hand. Now, it's important to note you cannot talk about what's in your own hand, but you can freely discuss what may be in other players' hands. During this phase, it's important to know that the players at the table must collectively try to guess at least 1 Whim card, but they can guess as many as they want. How the deduction works in this game is based upon a couple of factors. So it starts with the card in their hand. Everyone knows what's on the flip backside of their card. In this case, let's look at the yellow player's card. It's easy. This means color to color, meaning On the flip side of this card, we're only interested in colors. So now if we look at the board, since we put 2 clues on here, that means that this shrub tile and 2 shrub tiles next to it match what's on the backside of the yellow player's hand. So in this example, we can see that there are 3 options. There's purple to red, purple to yellow, and also purple to yellow. And seeing how there are 2 clue tokens on it, that means 2 of these tiles next to it must match. And the only option here is purple to yellow. So in this example, it would be a pretty safe bet for the players at the table to say, you know what, I want to guess the yellow player's card, and they would guess purple to yellow. If they are correct, the player can reveal it. And down here in the right corner is the number of points you're going to gain for that guess. For every correct guess, you will then move your player piece up to that many points. So we'll move up to 1 in this example. Now, as long as you guess correctly, you can keep guessing. So if you wanted, you can actually go ahead and try to guess the blue player's card in their hand. You don't have to, but you may. When a card is guessed correctly, you go ahead and discard that card. And then any clue markers on the board you may also discard at that time. And it's important to note during this phase, if you try to guess a card in the player's hand and it's incorrect, you do not reveal a card. You can still try to guess it in future rounds. Once all players at the table are satisfied making guesses, we move on to phase 4, which is moving the queen. The queen is going to move by default 1 speed. And so she will move 1 space on the track here in this example. At different points in the game, she will accelerate. Now, she only moves 1 space each round, but if during the guessing phase there was any guesses that were incorrect, she will move double her speed. So in this example, she would actually move twice if we haven't guessed incorrectly. And finally, we move on to the replenish step. So the replenish step, all players who do not have a whim card in their hand may draw from any of the 3 decks. Keep in mind that only 1 easy card can be selected at any given time amongst all the players. And then after everyone has chosen their cards, of course, they can look at it. And then you will then reach into the bag and blindly pull out any of the shrub tiles and replenish the greenhouse. After that's completed, it moves on to the next player's turn. If at some point during scoring, the player piece moves across this white line that is next to the bunny will then move to the next space on the board, down here, for example. And every time that happens, you will then immediately go and grab a rose petal. And this rose petal will then be placed at the bottom of the queen. And so now she will then consist of 2 pieces. This is marking her default speed. Now that she's 2 pieces, she's going to move 2 spaces each round. And remember, any incorrect guesses will double this to a 4 in this example, or higher. There are a total of 4 rabbit spaces around the board, here, 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 and finally here. And so the queen could potentially grab a maximum of 4 rose petals, moving at a default speed of 4, or in worst case scenario, 8 with an incorrect guess. But with that information, you should be able to play Paint the Roses. So hopefully you have found this useful, and join us for any of our playthroughs. Thanks for watching. I'll see you at the next stop.